Now, I've been to quite a few change management networking events myself.
Right.
One thing I love about change management network events is people tend to be quite extrovert, and because obviously they need to have strong communication skills, not afraid to ask people questions, get involved. What are the attributes that you see that make someone successful in change management?
Yeah, that's the question. The relatability, I think, being able to get on with people.
Yeah.
Being able to understand how people tick.
Yeah.
What makes people tick. Those people skills and this is why it's seen as a bit of a softer skill, really. Those softer skills that people talk about with change management. Why is it a little bit pink and fluffy? Because rather than just delivering something, it's delivering a whole behavioural change potentially, new ways of working. The key things, though, I think, as well as those softer skills, it's being able to tie those in and work closely with the program team and understand, exactly what the requirements are from the program team. So it's not just being seen as being, nice people who get on well with people. It's actually really about, okay, let's go in here and find out exactly how do we measure this. So what is the change? What can we do to measure it? Because you'll have some people that are willing to go with the change and will really enjoy it. You'll have other people who will be a bit passive, not really sure. And you'll have other people who are actively resistant. Now, those people who are actively resistant, it may be because really there's only two reasons. Generally speaking, it'll be because they don't know what to do, or they don't want to do it. So that's sort of the key issues, really. And if you can deal with those, so you can either train people up and help them to understand what it is it needs to do, or it could be that people eventually vote with their feet and they say, look, that this isn't what I want to do. This isn't part of the organisation I want to be part of. And obviously, you don't want that to happen, but ultimately, people have that choice. So you bring in people. You've got hearts and minds. You've got people who are willing to do it. Those are a little bit passive that you can hopefully try and move, one way or the other. Those that are very resistant, you either change their mind, get them actively involved, so they actually become part of the solution as well. All those key things, really, really important things with regards to business change.
Okay. Often or not, when change programs come about, there's obviously some people that perhaps, or I'll mention vendors, because some of those legacy vendors, if there's software involved particularly, maybe on their way out the door, of course, who may have had relationships and licensing relations with that organisation for many years. How do you keep them engaged within that change program when perhaps they are being shifted out of that organisation?
Yeah, very difficult. There may well be that there's KPIs, that you have to get KPIs involved, and some real measurable. It is unfortunately that carrot and stick type thing where you can either encourage people to go with it. They've signed a contract, they have to deliver, and therefore you keep pushing and working with them. But ultimately, there've got to be those KPIs as well. And I said earlier, there has to be some way of measuring. And for any change to become successful, particularly when you're working with people who, like you say, who are maybe being made redundant, or as a new organisation coming in, whatever it may be, you have to be able to measure it. Those benefits have to be obvious as well. And they have to be obvious to those people who are working inside the organisation or outside as well. And so, those contractors, those people who work using that software solution potentially, it needs to be obvious to them and us and people, our customers effectively, that, these are the benefits to this solution. And, the other thing as well with keeping people engaged is momentum as well. You have to have that momentum. You've got to keep people going. There has to be if you've got something that's dragging on for ages and ages, and people are stalling, and this can sometimes be a bit of a tactic that I've found as well, a bit of a challenge with some programs, is that you get people saying, well, I can't possibly do any change until I get this information. And, it can be a bit of a stalling tactic as well. So I think those three things, being able to measure, being able to understand and articulate very easily what the benefits are.
Yeah.
And also then to create that momentum and build that momentum are hugely important.
Fantastic. And I've got a final one for you. When the change has been made, there's a bit of celebration, hopefully, depending on the size and scope of the program.
Yeah.
How do you keep that organisation engaged in that change, particularly when perhaps some of that target group have gone off and they're onto something else?
Yeah. This is quite challenging, and I've certainly found this in a number of organisations that I've worked for. You can do simple things like dip sampling, so management going out and ensuring the new ways of working are being adhered to. And again, I mentioned KPIs earlier, so if you've got some way of compliance and assurance measures, that's hugely important as well. I think engaging, something I found as well a few times, is that actually the business change teams can be withdrawn a little bit too quickly. So we can't actually go out and speak to people. I think it's really important to be able to go and spend time with them. Once the new changes have taken place and you've gone past the go-live date, go and sit in the canteens with these people, these whoever it is that has to change. Go sit with them. What are the problems you're encountering? What can be done? So these post-implementation reviews, a lot of time, lip service is paid to these, unfortunately. These are vitally important. And that someone actually takes ownership of these post-implementation reviews. It can be a bit of a tick box. But the hugely important thing is these PIRs to make sure they actually take place, and with it alongside compliance and assurance, KPIs. You can do surveys as well. If it's remote, you can get surveys done and things. And it's hopefully you built that relationship and you built the trust and know that you're reporting honestly. And so again, that's huge important.
Andy, thank you so much for that insight. I'm not going to throw any more questions out at you, and I know I put you on the spot a bit there, so.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being so honest with your answers as well. We'll catch up in a couple of days, I'm sure. And obviously, I know you've been contracting for a long time, so you know the market very well. Have a great evening. Again, thanks for joining us on the live show. We'll see you soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, fantastic. That was great. That was Andy Labrum. He joined us as a change manager. It's so good to hear some of his insight, particularly how organisations can keep momentum of that change once that change is implemented. And you often see this, for any project or any program, of course, you need someone who still is owning that program and keeping that with you. So we'd love to get your thoughts on it anyway. So hope you enjoyed our new format of our Facebook Q&A show. It was great to hear some commentary from Andy. My name's David Lawrence. If you would like to post some questions to us, just go on our website at vineresources.com. If you want to watch any of our videos, we've got them all live on Facebook Live. You can just go back through them, and shortly they'll be all on our website on our resource hub as well. So hope you have a good evening for a Monday. It's a big week in the UK with the Brexit stuff going on. Who knows what will happen? All I would say is, in my little world, I've just got to keep plugging on, and hopefully for you too. So have a nice evening. We'll see you soon.